So we're joined today on Highland League Weekly by Nairn County defender Callum Maclean. He's the latest player to take on our Fantasy Fives challenge. So first of all, Callum, we'll start with the team of the boys you've played with. Just run us through that.
Yeah, so a few tough decisions. Callum Antel's my goalkeeper. So to be fair, it's quite funny. I've only played with sort of 2 or 3 goalkeepers really, and Dylan McLean will be spewing at this, but I think Callum was really talented when he was at Nairn, and he's gone on to play obviously at a higher level in sort of the leagues and things. So he was my sort of choice. As I say, Dylan won't be happy with that, but I think Callum was really good, an excellent player. So my next one's Ross Tokley. So I suppose his record in football speaks for itself. But even over the last year, he's been a massive player for us, and came in at a point where we were struggling quite a bit defensively. Just his leadership qualities, aerial ability, even at corners and things like that, has been second to none since he came in. So it was a bit of a no-brainer to put Tokes in. My next one after that is Wayne McIntosh, fresh off another red card at the weekend. So he's the energy Wayne sort of brings to the party for us. He sets the tone in most games, and you couldn't really not pick him. I think is the way of looking at things. So had to put him in there. He's probably both on the pitch and off the pitch one of the most hyper people I've ever met. So his wife must have all sorts of fun with him, I'm sure. But he's quite the guy. So the next one's Robbie Duncanson. To be fair, I only played briefly with Robbie, so there's part of it that's sort of playing against Robbie as well. But he was just such a good creator of chances, and from playing against him as well, sort of, he would always drop into the sort of pocket and be really hard to mark. I think he sort of links into my number 5 in terms of him being a bit of a double act for many a year for Nairn. So I think Robbie was an automatic choice. And then the last one, as I've sort of touched on, and probably as you're expecting, is Connor Geffins. I mean, over 200 goals for Nairn. I've been there for a few of them, but to be honest, I probably didn't even play with Connor at his prime. Just such a good ability to be in the right place at the right time and capitalise on mistakes from defenders. So always fun to play with him in training, obviously. So had to be Connor.
Well, that's quite the team. A few Nairn County legends, and amongst them certainly. Now on the opposing side, players you've played against, who have you plumped for, Callum?
Yeah, so playing against, I've gone for Joe Mallon as a goalkeeper. Just a big presence, and a goalkeeper I would have loved to sort of played in front of. He's had a few injury problems over recent years, and I think when you see the broader team and Joe's maybe not in it, you're sort of think you've got a bit more of a chance of winning the game, because he always used to play in front of behind a great defence. So it's almost like you beat the defence and then you've still got Joe to get through. I think he was definitely a pretty solid choice. My next one's Colin Williamson. Links into that a wee bit. I did play briefly with Colin when I was much younger. I think he's quite actually underrated. I think just in the challenge, just hard as nails. Doesn't really make mistakes very often. Just obviously I've not played up front very often, but I wouldn't want to play against him if I was an attacker. So Colin was my next choice. After that is another player I played with when I was younger, Kevin Fraser. Kevin, just again similar to Wayne McIntosh, just has bundles of energy, and again a playing against him, you're constantly trying to keep up with him, basically, because he's just everywhere all the time. And again, he hasn't been very lucky recently with injuries, and we're actually set to play Bucky this weekend, and I don't know what his latest status is, but I'm hoping he won't be back fit for that one, because he always makes it a much more difficult proposition. So I've got Sid Mackay. Sort of had to pick him because he's my manager, so I wouldn't get picked if I didn't. Had a few tussles with him over the years, both good and bad. But yeah, I think his goals record as well speaks for itself in the Highland League. And yeah, always a tough game. And my last one's Mitch Megginson. I'm sure a few players will probably pick him throughout this season, but he's just had everything, and obviously what he's done in the championship and the leagues, shows probably how much better he was than the Highland League. So an easy one, that one, really.
Brilliant. And the key question at the end for you, Callum, if those two teams were to play each other, who would win?
You've always got to back your teammates, so I'll go with my team. I think they would win that.